Welcome to After the Summit, the Q&A session with Honey Stinger and OG. Had to bust out my hiking shirts that you guys would recognize me.
He's never going to take that shirt off.
So got done with my AT 2023 through hike. Had a number of folks that were kind of reaching out with some questions, and so we wanted to put together this kind of Q&A session, sort of similar to what we had done back in Harper's Ferry.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some questions from some of the followers, and then we got some that you've got for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
All
I'll
right.
kind of disperse them in and out, maybe throughout.
And I think there's some questions for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So people want to hear from Honey Stinger.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So you got a question for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we'll start with Sonia's, and she wanted to know what was the hike to Mount Katahdin the Knife's Edge?
It was actually the Hunt Trail. So the White Blazes that go up to the summit there, that trail is called the Hunt Trail. And so we took that up, and we also took it down as well. So we kind of talked about or looked at maybe the A-Ball Bridge or A-Ball Trail on the way down, because I'd heard that maybe it was a little bit easier. But in talking with the park ranger, she sort of recommended if you go up Hunt Trail, you've kind of seen it, and so you can kind of know what to expect when you go back down. But Knife's Edge would have put us at a parking lot pretty far away, and then we would have had to get a shuttle back to the car. Plus, I don't think anybody really wanted to do Knife's Edge.
No. Yeah. The next part of her question is, will I or the boys ever consider hiking the AT, or all of us together?
You should do it. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. I don't know. I love it in adventure, and I love hiking and camping. I just don't know if my personality lends itself to being a really good AT through hiker.
The boys, I don't see them doing it, but if they wanted to, that'd be awesome. We just didn't really instill that love of hiking with them from the get-go, like we had from our parents. But they were kind of more involved in sports along growing up, so I don't really see them doing it. But they had a great time doing the summit with me, and it was awesome having them. So if they ever wanted to do it, I'd be ready.
Yeah, they're good hikers. They would be able to do it.
Yeah.
No problem. Andrew wanted to know one thing you would do differently if you had the chance.
So I really enjoyed my hike, but I guess if there's one thing that maybe I'd do differently is maybe visit more towns.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed going into towns. Food. I talked about food a lot when I was out there, but and just kind of getting to see different places was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The only trouble with that is it does get kind of expensive, and I just had I had kind of a set budget.
That's a good question. Bird had a question. The very next question actually says, would love to see a simple breakdown of the cost of your adventure for planning purposes. So that's a good question.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had kind of and so I'm planning to do a whole nother video that's based just on the budget, going over everything, what I spent on food, what I spent on hostels, resupply, all that. But just to kind of touch on what, just give Bird a quick answer. I had a budget of $6,000. It was separate from Honey Stinger and I's our accounts together. This was, it was just separate so that she didn't have to see every time I swiped at, Dollar General or at a brewery or whatever. But
this was my request from the get-go, that we had
separate.
separate accounts so he could keep track of his money and his spending.
Well, and I knew I had a set limit, so I was kind of frugal at the beginning, and that was part of the reason I didn't go into as many towns, because it does get expensive. But so yeah, $6,000 was the budget. I spent all of it, but I think I had $70 left at the end.
Captain Heimgrinder, that's a cool name.
Captain Heimgrinder.
Yeah.
Nice.
He said, what climb and which descent did you find to be the most difficult?
There were a lot of tough climbs. There were a lot of tough descents. I do remember that first climb going into North Carolina, right after you cross the state line. I think you might be staying in Indian. You're just going up. That was hard. But I think
is that coming out of the NOC?
No. That's hard too, coming out of the NOC. Whew. Yeah, there's a lot. But I think I probably just have to go with Katahdin though. That climb, that's all we did that day. It was hard.
That is all we did.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
So I'd go with Katahdin.
Okay, cool. All right. Maureen, she was asking a question. What advice would you give for a woman in her 60s who was wanting to do a through hike? Would you consider a flip flop, no-bow, sobo, especially when it comes to the difficulty through New Hampshire and Maine?
Yes, that's a great question. So, first off, I'd say do it.
Yes.
Whichever way you choose to do it, I'd say just do it. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
you do it. Give it a try. But I mean, I'm partial to a no-bow. I mean, I was a no-bow hiker. We're the best. But I'm just kidding. No, the reason I would recommend a no-bow, Maureen, is the trails in Georgia are really well maintained and they're built on switchbacks. So you start to build up your trail legs in kind of a more palatable fashion. The elevation gain in North Carolina is tough. I mean, there's some big climbs in North Carolina. But again, you've got switchbacks and you don't have the bouldering that you have, like you mentioned, in New Hampshire. So you kind of build up your trail legs. When you get to Virginia, you kind of stretch your legs a little bit. You kind of open up, you get bigger miles. But all of that, and then the rocks of Pennsylvania, you learn how to kind of walk on rocks. Everything that you're doing. And in New York, you start to do some kind of steeper climbs up with a little bit of bouldering turning, just a little bit. And so everything that you do, and in the mud of Vermont, everything you do kind of builds to New Hampshire and Maine. And so by the time you get there, you're prepared. And so that's the reason why I recommend.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next question comes from Wondering Monk. And how often did you resupply during the hike?
Monk, good to hear from you. Monk had followed along all the way from the very beginning. A lot of these folks did as well, so thank you very much. So resupply, I did probably every 3 to 5 days or so.
The other part of it is, did you mail any resupply packages to yourself?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't ever do that. You mailed me one.
Shoes and the one. That was kind of like an anniversary packet.
It was an anniversary care packet. You sent me the bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome.
So we have matching ones.
But yeah, no, I didn't. It was just super easy to resupply. Towns are close by.
Eric had a question, and I think it kind of piggybacks on this. It said, "What resources did you use to figure out the logistics of your trip?"
So I primarily relied on the Far Out app, and that really covered pretty much everything you need. It's got the map, shows you all the water sources, shows you where camping sites are, and then you can click on the different icons at the different parking spots and kind of learn more about shuttle drivers that might be available, and then there's town information as well. I'd say the one limitation on Far Out is that it doesn't have as much information on kind of towns that might be a little bit off trail, or as much information about what might be in a town. So I also looked at White Blaze pages.
And I had White Blaze pages. And to me, that was super helpful. I used it the whole entire time to be able to calculate where he would be and hostels, and they would list addresses. So like if I wanted to do a care package, or if I wanted to go to that hostel, it had the address and the number to call. So the White Blaze for me was super helpful. Becky had a question. How has hiking the AT changed your outlook on life, and has it made a significant difference in how you're going to live your life going forward?
I mean, I'd say that I'm probably more open to different personalities and to kind of meeting new people and opening up to new people a little quicker. How I'm going to live my life differently, I'm not really sure. I mean, kind of to be determined, I guess. I was putting away laundry the other day, and I was just thinking, like, trying to shove shirts in a drawer that was stacked full. And why do I have all these clothes?
When I just wear my same
I've got this shirt. What else do I need?
I'm just going to wear it for the rest of my life. This is a side question, but what is the brand of your shirt? Because I think any shirt that can be worn every day for 151 days is probably a good shirt.
Deserves a good shout out.
It deserves a shout out.
So this is the Patagonia cap.
Gracie in the pit.
Hey, Gracie. Hey, Gracie. All right, baby, go lay down. Go lay down. I liked it because it's a sun shirt, and so people would sometimes people would look at me and be like, "You're hiking in a long sleeve shirt with a hood." But the hood, I loved having it up because it would keep the sun off my neck and keep the sun off my face. Gracie, go lay down, baby. It helped keep the bugs off my head.
And your shorts?
My shorts, Patagonia, as well. They were black originally. They're kind of a faded out weird brown color.
I asked him when I saw him at the end, I was like, did you get some new shorts? He was like, no, they just faded.
Yeah.
I think she wants to EAT. We might have to pause this for just 1 second.
All right, so had to take a little pause. Gracie needed some dinner. She was talking to us, fed the dog, and we're back.
Okay.
So I got some questions for you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're up the followers too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this one comes from Paul, and he says, my wife's very opposed to me through hiking. She doesn't feel that she can handle worrying for such a long period of time. So how did you guys deal with the worries? And then did you have to convince Honey Stinger to allow you to do the trail? So how did you deal with the worries?
Yeah, that's understandable. But I really didn't worry that much. We had a family group chat, and every night OG would text and let us know that he had made it to camp safely and kind of told us about his day.
You didn't worry about me.
I knew you could do it.
All right, second part of the question was, did you have to convince Honey Stinger to allow you to do the trail? No, is the answer to that. So just the opposite, really, right?
Yeah.
What did you tell me when we started talking about it?
And you said originally you wanted to do it in 5 years. You wanted to retire early and do it in 5 years. And that's when I told him, I was like, why wait? I mean, do it now. You never know what could happen in 5 years. And
that's right.
So this is kind of one of my own questions that kind of piggybacks on that. But a lot of people want to know how long you prepared to get ready to go. Like once we made this decision that you were going to do it, how long did it take before you actually hiked?
So we started talking about it like July
of last year.
Yeah, July, and then sort of we were like, okay, we're gonna do. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and so then I kind of started to sort of assemble gear and sort of do some shakedown hikes and really kind of work on my fitness, and then we started in February, so it was like 6 months from
6 or 7 months, yeah,
from like start to go live. All right, one more. So another question for you, Honey Stinger. This is from Lucy. She wants to know how you're doing, and did you cry sometimes? Did you worry when it was so cold or when the rain was so bad? It's kind of how did you do day after day, and when he was too far away and you couldn't visit anymore?
Good. Thank you. That was good questions. Yeah, I worried about him during the Smokies because it was so cold during the Smokies, really, really cold, and I knew how cold it was. So I think I worried about you a lot then. And then when I saw you in Virginia, I think it was Marion, Virginia, you hadn't taken a zero in a really long time. You had some tendonitis in your shin. And so that was a time where I kind of worried about you a little bit. So then I was good for a pretty long time until Vermont, when you started having the little struggles there, and that really got to me a lot. Also, I hadn't seen you in a while at that point, and I thought that I was going to be able to see you more the second half of the trip, and that didn't work out.
It's just so hard. It was just so hard. I mean, the logistics of me knowing where I'm going to be when, like how many miles I'm going to do, and then you working, and then it involves a plane.
Yeah.
And so getting a ticket in advance, and then trying to get to some of these small towns, it's just not easy. I mean, they're not
easy to get to without taking a train or a shuttle or a rent a car.
Yeah.
So
it was hard.
So that part got really hard for me at the end.
Yeah.
But then I started focusing on planning the summit and the adventure at the end, and that kind of settled me down to kind of get me through until
you knew you were coming there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, biggest physical challenge.
I'd say probably just the day in and day out of hiking every single day, getting up every single day and hiking.
Emotional challenge.
That was just, I mean, you guys saw it. Well, if you followed my hike and you saw it on video, when I was in Vermont, it was really tough. It had been so many days of rain and mud and just being in the woods without views, and just like the sun didn't even penetrate the trees, and it was just, I was tired. And you had reached out and were trying to plan a trip to come see me, and then we kind of both decided, hey, that's just not going to work out. It's just too complicated. And so then I kind of had that sort of let down, and so that was tough as well. So yeah, that was kind of it. That was it right there. I needed a reset.
Yeah.
I needed a reset.
Trail town. So
Hanover was up there. Hanover was really cool. Rangeley, Maine. I had a July. Well, it was July 3rd, but they had a 4th of July celebration with fireworks. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Bennington, Vermont was really, really cool. So down south, Franklin was cool. Hot Springs was awesome. So many people were in Hot Springs in that Brewers area.
Yeah, that
you
was
came by.
fun.
You came and visited, and Silas came and visited. That was so much fun. So many good towns. Towns were always fun. Towns were food. They were Gorham. We finished the Whites and we went into Gorham. I don't know. Everybody was there. So many hikers that I had hiked with earlier. Got to see Grateful I hadn't seen forever, and it's just Gorham was cool. It wasn't like the best town, but so many of my friends were there, and there were restaurants, and it was fun. It was fun.
Nice.
Monson, Maine, right there at the end. It was cool. So many cool towns. Yeah.
I think that's the neat thing about the AT is there are so many cool towns.
Yeah, and some of these you're talking about, like, they don't even have a stoplight. They're just like a stop sign, a gas station, maybe a general store and a restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Glasgow, Virginia. There was a hostel, a restaurant, a Dollar General, and like a general store. But
wow.
But Scottos, shout out to them. I ate there twice. It was awesome.
Favorite trail magic?
I gotta say my man PTL,
yes,
and his wife Sue.
They were awesome.
Supporting me so many times. Treated me so well. Just really took care of me.
Mm-hmm.
Came out in Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and then also up in Maine.
Wow.
So PTL, thank you so much.
So second that.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
There was also a time I was hiking with Taylor, New Hampshire, and we came across this sign. We'd already kind of done a lot of miles that day, and we came across this sign, and it said Trail Magic in 5 miles. And it had that day's date, and it said until 5:30. And we looked at our watches, and we're like, oh God, we got to go. We got to go. Trail Magic, we got to go. And so we still had that 5 miles to get there, and so we kind of took off, and we pulled up kind of close to when they were shutting down, but we rolled up to the Trail Magic, and they had tables set up, and they had carpet, and they had flowers on the table, and they had burgers and hot dogs and drinks and chips and candies, and there were 2 former thru hikers, super nice guys, and they had postcards, and I mailed you a postcard from there. Taylor mailed Chet a postcard from there, and a couple of my buddies were there. Icebox was there, Big Tuna, 109. Some of my other friends had already come through and gone on, so that one was really cool too.
That's neat.
That was fun. Yeah.
Is that where the postcard started?
That's where they started. Yeah. Those guys were like, "Here, does anybody want a postcard? We'll mail it for you." And I was like, "Yeah, I want a postcard." And so then from there on,
I got postcards the rest of the way after that.
I wish I'd started it sooner.
Yeah, that would have been neat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do you think that you'll do Trail Magic next year?
Yeah, for sure. So, Gummy Bear, myself, and Odin, I think Stickers as well. We're all relatively close. We're talking about getting together maybe in North Carolina next year and doing some Trail Magic kind of around the time that we all started.
Mm-hmm.
For folks. So we really appreciate everybody that came out and helped us. So
nice. What part of the trail did you enjoy the most from Donnie?
That's hard because there were a lot of really good sections that I really loved. I mean, I loved North Carolina. I loved being closer to home, and the views in North Carolina were amazing. I mean, Max Patch and Big Ball, and of course going across Rhone, and that's North Carolina Tennessee border. But I don't know. I guess I gotta say New Hampshire. I mean, I gotta say New Hampshire. Going across Franconia Ridge, like leading up to Franconia Ridge. I mean, going doing the Kinsmans and then resupplying in Lincoln, and Lincoln was another good town. But going across Franconia Ridge and then going across the presidentials. I mean, I got so blessed, so lucky with the weather and the views, and it was amazing.
You really did get that was just like the perfect time.
Yeah, it was
in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
So this is one of my questions. Do you think that the whites were harder than the Smokies?
Oh yeah, without question. Yeah, the Smokies have higher peaks. I mean, you get up higher, but when you get up in the Smokies, you kind of get on a ridge and then you're sort of cruising. But the whites, it's more like this, and there's no switchbacks. They just build the trail like straight up a rock slide. Like there's a rock slide, go climb it. That's the trail. I mean, it's crazy.
Wow.
It's fun, but it's crazy.
Yeah. I want to go to New Hampshire.
Yeah, we're going.
Yes.
We're going. Yeah.
Okay, this is a good question from Greg. Interested to hear how people deal with the bubbles and if that was a problem for you at any point.
So I started early enough, started February 23rd, that I was kind of in front of like the big bubble that you hear about, of people starting a little bit later. I did kind of encounter sort of some mini bubbles, and that was typically like kind of hiking out of town. Like for example, after Hot Springs, there were so many people there. And so then that kind of like that next shelter, that next campsite, I mean, it was absolutely slammed. I mean, it was complete. The shelter was full. All the tent sites were taken. But then after that, it just, like the very next night, I mean, it dispersed because people have different plans, different hiking speeds, different hiking goals. And so typically I would get kind of into like a little bubble, but it was typically kind of after a town. After Damascus, we were in sort of a little bubble, and that lasted a couple days. But so that was the only time. And they were always kind of, those little mini bubbles were fun because they were all my friends, so like my immediate hiking buddies, and then sort of like fringe friends,
right,
that I may not hike with as much. But
so you were happy with your start date?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It was a great start date.
At first I thought, oh, it's too early, it's going to be so cold, but I think it turned out to be really good.
Yeah, no, I mean, the first couple of weeks in Georgia, it was like 60 degrees. Now, I mean, it did get really, really, really cold after that. I mean, we got down to like 10, but
yeah, it was warm when we went to Springer with you.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
And my gear was great for the cold, so that was fine.
That was a question somebody asked earlier. Did you have to? Anything you had to be tossed following the hike?
So my gear held up really well. I tossed my 2 smart water bottles.
Thank goodness, right?
But they were with me the whole hike. I had the same 2 smart water bottles the whole hike.
That's something I was like, come on, OG, you can get a new smart water bottle.
They had my stickers on them.
They were $2.99 tops.
I'm trying to do my part for the environment.
Michelle has a question. Did you ever get used to carrying 20 plus pounds on your shoulders and back? Is it like getting your trail legs? It just gets easier over time.
I think my pack carried really well. To be honest, I never really, it wasn't really ever an issue.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it sat on my hips really well. I've got horrible bruises.
Yes, yeah.
Like kind of almost like, I guess, scars almost, really, from the hip belt, where I would just cinch it down. But that's really where the weight of my pack sat. So I didn't really feel it in my shoulders. So who asked the question?
Michelle.
Michelle, I would say maybe. I mean, maybe look into getting fitted.
Yes.
If you haven't been fitted, your pack might not be right for you. Different packs carry different ways. So I would maybe take a look at that. Make sure you've got the right size pack. I mean, Honey Stinger's using an extra small.
And I would have never thought I needed an extra small until we were fitted for them.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, I would make sure you're carrying the right pack, that it's the right size for your torso. And I would also look into how you have it packed. I mean, there's certain ways that you can pack it to where the weight is distributed the correct way, because it shouldn't hurt your shoulders. If you're around 20 pounds, it shouldn't hurt your shoulders.
Right.
So
this is kind of the same question in a way, but when did you get your trail legs?
So I remember thinking that I probably had my trail legs somewhere between 600 and 800.
Okay. Which was Virginia?
Yeah, it was Virginia.
Oh, and by saying trail legs, what does that mean exactly? Like,
so I mean, I think that just means like you can hike every day and do miles, and then get up and do it again without having pain. Without that, like, and you can just you can hike the miles without really noticing that you're hiking them, and that like your feet don't hurt. Like, I mean, your trail legs your feet your feet hurt for so long, or mine did at least. I sat at a desk job for 30 years,
right.
My whole career.
Yeah.
So it took a long time for my feet to kind of get tough. But I look at that as part of the trail legs. So.
Yeah, so tell people a little bit about when you had your shin tendonitis and how you got over that on the trail.
So I actually had it 3 times. I had it twice in my right leg, and then the third time was in my left leg, which was really frustrating because and that was in Pennsylvania. I don't think I ever really talked about that on camera. I used that tape, KT tape. I don't know if it helped or not, but maybe it was mental. It seemed to help. I don't know. So I kept it on forever. And I started doing these stretches. So I would spell out the alphabet with my foot every morning. And that would just stretch my foot out and stretch out that tendon. Mm-hmm. And I think I know of a lot of people that had tendonitis issues in their shin. And I think it's really common. So I used Advil and I stretched, and I just dealt with the pain. Mm-hmm. There were days when I hurt all day, but I just kept going.
I think probably any thru hiker doesn't make it all the way through without having something that hurts a lot of the time, right?
You hurt a lot. You do.
What about your younger counterparts? Did they have less problems?
I hike with a lot of young people.
Yeah.
And they didn't have issues.
Yeah.
No. They were fun though. I liked hiking with young people.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it was fun to have the young people.
Yeah.
You could relate to them because they were around the same ages.
I remember being in a shelter one time, and it was me, Grateful, Radio, Coyote, Big Tuna, and Grateful said, or maybe it was Coyote. It was Coyote. Oh, gee, how do you feel about hiking with a bunch of people your kids' age? I was like, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, it is cool. It's good that you were able to keep up and hike with the young people.
So 21, 18, 24, turned 25 on trail, and 27 were the ages of those folks I just mentioned. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love it. Bridget, what advice would you share with someone that was about to thru hike the AT?
All right, good question. 1 mile.
Maybe 1 mile's thinking about doing 2,198.4 miles.
You should do it. You should do it. I'll come hike with you. So get in the best shape that you can, and sometimes that's hard to do when you're working full time. I worked full time right up to it, and so you can't really replicate hiking every single day, all day long, while you're working all day. So just get in the best shape you possibly can. Make your legs as strong as you can. Do step ups, all types of leg exercises, and then get your pack weight as low as you can. Be ruthless about what it is that you're bringing, and then do shakedown hikes, and learn from them. If you're not experienced, learn from them, and then don't pack too much food. I say the biggest advice is get in shape and get your pack weight low.
That's good advice. Yeah. This is a big one. Any interest in doing the PCT?
Yeah, there might be some interest. Gummy and Odin and I, we were talking about it. I think Odin's got to convince his wife. He's working on it. I think I maybe need to work for a little bit first, make some money. But I want you to do it with me.
Oh gosh, to be determined.
There's some interest.
Okay, here's a good one. How do you feel physically after being off the trail for a week?
So that's a great question. I hurt. My knees still hurt. I don't know. I don't really know why. I think it's like stabilizer muscles.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's overuse. I think that they'll be just fine. But right now, walking down the stairs hurts. The bottom of my feet are numb. I can't really feel them. But I have read that that's pretty common, and that they'll come back around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finally starting to not feel so tired. I think I was just worn down at the end. I think I was just really worn down.
And how are you feeling mentally? How are you adjusting to being back in the normal, with normal people in the normal world, not in the hiker community?
It's been an adjustment. It has. Been texting with a couple of my buddies, and we're all kind of working through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
is it a harder adjustment than you thought it would be? I mean, you knew that people said that for years, so it's not like it's coming as a giant surprise to you. Or
I think I'm just struggling, like, calling people by real names.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to call people by their trail name.
I like that. You can call me Honey Stinger.
And I mean, I have no problem remembering people's trail names, but like remembering people's names out in public, I just struggle.
That is true. I remember when I met you in Hot Springs that day, and you started introducing me to all the people, and you were just calling them all by their trail names, and I was thinking, what is he doing? He never knows anybody's name. Okay, one more question here. How much weight did you lose?
So I lost 30 pounds at one point. So when I started the trail, I put on extra weight on purpose, knowing that I was going to lose some. So I started the trail, I was a little over 180. I was like 183 when I started the trail. And at one point, I weighed at a hostel on one of those medical doctor scales, with the sliding.
Mm-hmm.
It was calibrated. And I was 150. And I knew that was too skinny. I don't think I wasn't making the best food choice. And I was hiking bigger miles. And when you're hiking bigger miles, it's just hard to consume enough calories.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, the only way to do it is to eat while you're walking.
Would you have changed any of your food choices if you were to do it again?
So I kind of switched at one point and started to take in more protein.
Mm-hmm.
Eat a little bit less candy and eat more just straight protein.
Yeah, I would say that was probably a good choice.
I think it helped. It did help. So that was an adjustment. That was better. So anyway, I at one point I lost 30 pounds. I put 5 back on, so I was 155. So yeah.
Favorite state?
I'm going to North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know. Maine was amazing. Maine tried to kill me. Maine was so hard. I'm not saying Maine. New Hampshire was amazing. It really was, the views. Mm-hmm. But it was hard, and it was so far away.
Yes.
North Carolina was beautiful, and I was closer. Mm-hmm. You got to come out to see me. Mm-hmm. I'm saying North Carolina.
Good choice. I like it. All right, one more here. This is kind of bathroom questions, but kind of funny to go out on bathroom questions, but
we're going out on the bathroom.
We're going out on the bathroom.
We're going out with poop.
So, privies versus cat holes.
What was my choice?
Well, did preference? Well, we all know what your preference. Were you able to use privies most of the time, or did you have to do cat holes?
So I mean, privies were pretty readily available, and a lot of them were nice. Some of them not as nice. but sometimes they didn't line up well
With your schedule.
with your needs.
Right.
And so, a cattle was, I didn't have any problem with it. I mean, I'm fine either way.
So did you carry toilet paper the whole way?
Yeah, I had a bidet, and I used it for a while. But then I also had toilet paper. I would always just,
Borrow some from places?
yeah, like when you get to a hostel or restaurant or whatever, you just grab some.
Oh, God.
But yeah, no, I mean either one is fine. I'm fine either way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a weird question to go out on, but
We really going out with that one?
I feel like I need to come up with another one real quick.
Favorite memory from the trail?
Yeah, favorite memory.
My first cattle. I mean, I was really lucky to be able to hike with some really great people. People really made it special. And then I was really lucky to be able to hike with family a number of times. To be able to get to hike with you, hike with my cousin Bill. Of course, I hiked with the boys for a little bit. But the people I met on
Your
the
sister,
trail,
yeah.
my sister, one mile, of course, she came out to visit me a couple times. So that was really special. And then the people that I hiked with were just really cool. So
I think making so many friendships over the trail was really neat.
so many different friendships, so many different types of personalities, just kind of thrown together, and so many different types of people in different ages, all just kind of chilling and vibing and cruising and hiking. Yeah.
So
looking out for each other, and it's weird because everyone's kind of doing their own thing, so it's not like people are, hey, what can I do to help you? But if you need something, people are there for you.
Yeah. So, all in all, good experience.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it was really, really cool. It was so much fun. It was the adventure that I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it so? It was as good as you expected, if not better.
I think probably better. I mean, it took a little while to kind of really get into that groove, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. If you're thinking about doing it, I mean, give it a try. Give it a try.
I think so.
I mean, I said going into it, if I absolutely hate this, I'm going to stop. But at the same time, the local paper had done an article on me. Your dad had me on his podcast. Our friends threw me a going away party. I quit my job. I mean,
yeah, I knew he wasn't quitting.
I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you saying, if I hate it, I'll come back home. And I thought, no, he'll go all the way, even if he hates it. But
I didn't hate it.
But you didn't hate it.
I loved it. It was awesome.
So, well, I'm glad you got to do it. That's really cool.
Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for keeping the house running. Thank you guys for following along.
Yes.
And for all your support. So many names that sent in questions today. I would see your names, commenting, and then folks that didn't comment, but still watched. I know there's a ton of those folks as well, because there's been a couple that said, hey, I didn't really comment, but I followed you from day one, and it really meant so much. I would read your comments. I tried to answer them when I could. But
it meant a lot to me to see the support that people watching your videos were giving you too. I just thought that was amazing. Like, it's just really nice that people will support somebody that's going out and doing something really hard and off the beaten path. So
right.
Thank you
so much. I appreciate you subscribing. I still have some content that I plan to put out, so I hope you continue to follow, and maybe there'll be something of interest that I still put out, and who knows, maybe there might be some hikes in the future.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.